Hi, I was asked recently to give a short talk on inspiration means, and it was aimed very much at people who are struggling with breast cancer at the moment. So I thought what I might do is just record those few words. I'm not sure how inspirational they actually were, but hopefully you will all get something out of them. I have to say, I did feel hugely underqualified for the tall order of giving a talk about inspiration, but it kind of sprung to mind the words or the poem by Maya Angelou, and I'm hoping that she won't mind me taking a little bit of poetic license when I recite the last few lines to you. I don't shout or jump about or have to talk real loud. When you see me passing, it ought to make you proud. I say, it's in the click of my heels, the bend of my hair, the palm of my hand, the need for my care, because I'm a woman, phenomenally phenomenal woman. That's me, or that's all of you. You may not feel phenomenal, but believe me, you are. And I think it's important that we understand bravery at times like this. I've thought about being strong and brave so much recently, and I'm sure many of you in this room are like me. When someone tells you that you're strong and brave, you instantly turn your head and look over your shoulder to see who they're really talking about. The quote that comes to mind is bravery is being the only person in the room who knows how scared you really are. I think of being brave as soldiers marching into battle, people jumping out of planes, astronauts exploring outer space or the unknown. But I'm guessing they're also scared beyond reason, and they just choose not to show it. Bravery is something within you that lets you achieve things that you never thought were possible. Bravery comes in all shapes and sizes. It's a toddler learning to walk, and for them, bravery is simply letting go of the edge of the table before they fall flat on their bottoms. For the adventurous eater, it may simply be trying a particularly spicy or hot pepper. For the thrill seeker, it's almost definitely something like bungee jumping or jumping out of a plane. And for you, it may be facing a treatment or a particular personal challenge that's massive, and everything in your body is telling you, don't do it. No, don't make me do this. Kind of made me think it's a bit like going to the dentist when you're a child and everyone's going to tell you, it doesn't hurt. Of course it's not going to hurt. No, this definitely won't hurt. And by the time you've had the filling, you realize that actually it did hurt, and it hurt quite a bit. Challenges grow in their scale. Like I mentioned earlier, a toddler letting go of a table is a huge challenge. For us, traveling to a new shore or facing treatment or doing something we've never done before is massive, but it's grown with the scale of our ability to cope. The word impossible springs to mind, and I can remember in school teachers always saying, of course, there's no such word as impossible. Well, I don't know about you, but I certainly still can't lick my elbow. So some things are impossible, but everything gets smaller and it gets easier with a bit of help and application, and you can face your challenges. When COVID started, my business was closed down like many in line with government regulations. And oh my goodness, I was so scared. How would I pay the rent? How would I pay the staff? What was I going to do for a living? But then I stopped feeling sorry for myself, and I opened my eyes and I looked around, and I saw people literally starving, mums unable to feed their babies, unable to pay hospital bills, and I saw people so deep in despair that their only way out was suicide. I knew right then that my problems were superficial, a bit like a broken nail, irritating, but not really essential to my well-being. I quickly started looking after a few children who were here without their parents because their parents had been locked outside the country. And I realized that this pandemic was a time for perspective. Within a week, I had acquired so many temporarily orphaned children that I had to reach out to the Dubai British School PTA and get more mums on board so that we could spread the load out a bit. But then I ended up with another problem. I ended up with so many mums, I wasn't able to supply children for them to look after. So I came up with this idea, and I thought what I can do is I can start a small Facebook page. The help that I was given from these mums made me realise that actually everybody wanted to be kind, everybody wanted to be involved in some way. The only thing they needed was a way to make that happen. And the Facebook page I set up didn't stay small for very long. Within about 10 days of launching, we ended up with about 2,000 members on social media, and we were delivering nearly 100 meals a day. The aim was that people would stop and help, and that was why it was called Stop and Help. The interesting thing is this, that back in March, when I started, people started saying words like inspirational, strong, amazing. Whereas actually the reality is that it was a bit more like facing a tidal wave or a tsunami. The tide came in and completely swamped me. And in the middle, I raised my head just long enough to take a couple of breaths of air and shout help. And people came running because people want to help. I'm clearly not brave. I'm just a very good swimmer. But here's the important part. I had a choice in all this back then. I could have quite simply closed the Facebook page and said, I'm not going to do this. This is a lot of hard work. Put the kettle on, sat back and done nothing throughout the months of COVID. I had the choice to run for the hills. I had the choice to say no. But for people who are facing illness, cancer, or severe depression, or other problems, you don't have the choice. You didn't ask for this, and you can't run. That is a new perspective on the word bravery. You all want to ask the question, why me? That's natural. But the reality is, it's never going to be answered. Futile questions and feeling sorry for ourselves use up energy that we can put to better use. Feeling sorry for ourselves always gives us a temporary purpose, but it's not useful in the long term. Women are born brave, and most of us will carry a human inside us and then fearlessly face the pain of giving birth. We may be scared, and in that one moment, our lives change forever. We change from being someone's daughter to someone's mother as we take responsibility for another human being. But we do this because we are phenomenal women, because we are brave, because we can do this. The world has suddenly changed with COVID, and it's challenged every single one of us in so many different ways. The thing about a challenge is that you have two choices. You can stay quiet, face the challenge, and suffer the inevitable in silence. The other is that you can stand up and you can share your fears and face the inevitable with others. There is definitely strength in numbers. Doing it alone doesn't make sense. We were born into a family, a pack, a tribe, and we choose to have friends. They're our team for a reason. Why would anyone choose to suffer in silence? Whatever you're going through, sickness, mental abuse, depression, bereavement, others have gone before. They have experience. They have walked the path, just as many are still doing now. Together, we can share our fears and improve our walk. Think about this. You and 3 friends are in a forest. There's 4 paths available out of the forest. They go north, south, east, and west. And you have a choice. You can walk the path alone. The journey is likely to be long and lonely, but the odds suggest that at least one of you will make it out. You might all make it out, but you're all going to exit into very different lands alone. Or you can choose a path together, perhaps the one facing the sun. You can talk as you walk. We are women after all, and that's very likely. You can carry each other when one is weary. You can cheer another up when they're sad. You can rest together. You can share your theories on finding the way out. And together as one, you will emerge into a new land with a strong, unbreakable bond. You will have carried the weakest. You will have gained hope from the strongest. You will have slowed the fastest and sped up the slowest. But if you travelled the path alone, this would not have happened. This would not have been possible. On this journey, you have shared your innermost fears. You have been lifted by others when all seemed futile and given hope when it was needed. Together, you were strong. Together, You were phenomenally phenomenal women, and no one can ever take that away from you. My cousin was recently given the all clear after a hard battle with breast cancer. And I told her I was going to speak at this conference on breast cancer. And I said I was absolutely terrified. And she said, just don't say you're so strong. For her, that was the worst thing anyone could say to her. You are so strong. So I'm not going to say that you're strong. As I said earlier, bravery and courage is a privilege that some people can choose. You can choose to be brave. But for those of you that are facing an illness, you have not been given that choice. So I'm simply going to say, you are phenomenally phenomenal women. You will all get up tomorrow, and you will get up the day after that. You will cry tears for your friends and colleagues that haven't had that privilege along the way. But every day we face our challenges, it's one day closer to when that challenge is over. I like to think of my time on Earth as a journey through a mountainous range. Some days I feel like I'm climbing the steepest cliff. I'm not even moving forward. I'm just clinging on for dear life. And on other days, I'm literally freewheeling down a beautiful, gentle slope on a wide open road on a bicycle. And I've got the wind in my hair and the sun in my face and my feet kicked out to one side without a care in the world. But even if we don't move forward on hard days and we just grip tight and we hold on with our fingernails and every bit of strength that we have, we didn't move backwards. And tomorrow is a new day. And that tiny, minuscule step that you may have taken forward may well be the one that will open up the beautiful, long downhill road ahead. Not every mountainous journey is uphill or downhill. It's a beautiful mix, and the views on the top are always worth it. That's why so many people do actually choose to climb. And not every day is about achieving. Some days are simply about consolidating. Always take time to look back and you will see how far you've come. Celebrate every single achievement. It may seem small, but it's yours and it's worth it. Recently, I met a fantastic man who has a huge foundation, and I was telling him all about what we'd achieved for Stop and Help. I proudly said that we put 800,000 meals on the tables of families across the UAE who are starving, supporting over 24,000 people. He generously congratulated me on my achievement, although later I was somewhat humbled to discover he's actually fed 2.5 million people in the last year. And like I said, there's always perspective. And I said to him, I feel so humble. My achievement looks so small next to yours. And he replied, don't compare your achievement to mine. Your achievement is incredible. You did this alone. I did this with the backing of the government and an entire corporation. I'm going to share my life philosophy with you. It's very simple, and it quite simply is life is what you make it. You can always focus on negatives such as COVID has locked me in, it's taken away my freedom, it's left me with salary reductions, insecurity, it's stopped school, and so the list goes on. Or you can say, COVID has given me the time I needed to stop. It's given me time to reevaluate. I've had time to spend with my family. We've eaten meals together, we've played games, we've watched films. I've had time to become actively involved in my children's education, and I've spent 6 months watching them grow. I've watched the sun rise with them in the morning. I've had lunch with them, and I've tucked them into bed as the sun sets in the evening, without having to drive manically down Sheikh Zayed Road or some other motorway to get home and spend a few fraught minutes with them before they grumpily fell asleep. You see, there are positives in every situation. You just need to find them and celebrate them. Whatever you're starting, whether it's starting a cancer treatment, the positive is that you found you had cancer and that it's treatable. If you're halfway through and you're low, the positive is you're halfway through and the time to the end is less. There are positives. You just need to look hard to find them. Life brings us many joyful moments, brings us many downfalls as well. Some days, I think we all wish we just had a manual we could open to page 23 and go, yeah, tell me what to do. But it wouldn't be the same without the spontaneity of every day. The journey of life does not become easier as we grow older, but we do seem to understand it better as our perspectives evolve. Whatever adventure you're starting, it's never too late to change what the future is going to look like. Abraham Lincoln famously said, "Folks are usually about as happy as they make their minds up to be." And I believe happiness is something you plan for the present and don't plan for the future. I hear so often, "I'm working really hard so I can enjoy my retirement." And that makes me so sad. Happiness comes from you, and only you can make yourself happy. So dig deep and find the happy moment in every day. Being happy energizes us and it keeps us moving forward. My happy moment of every day is watching the sunrise. I love the colors of the early morning sky, the fresh feel of the new day, and the potential that each new day offers. You may have noticed, like I do, that even the birds sing louder in the morning. And the beauty of living in the UAE is that we are guaranteed that sunrise. In my home country of Wales, it's unfortunate that more likely it's going to be grey skies and driving rain, which never quite kicks the day off the same. But the positive is the grass will grow and the ground will be clean. When my daughter was born, her future was not promised. As a very sick baby, she brought my world crashing down around me. But the horrific early months taught me that walking lightly on eggshells and hoping it was going to be okay was not the same as crunching across pebbles and packing the days full of opportunity for as long as she would be in our lives. I learnt then not to put life on hold, but to celebrate each day and enjoy every day, to make something of every day, so that when I go to bed in the evening, I can reflect and say, today was perfect. I did something to make a difference. I did something to remember, and I did something to make me happy. I said at the beginning, I'd talk about bravery and the importance of teams, your team. If you take one thing away from this rather long talk, I want you to remember that being brave is admitting you're scared, and being brave is asking for help. Your team of family, friends, and supporters are there for you, and they will carry you the distance if they need to. Believe me when they tell you this, when I tell you this, they honestly don't mind. Everybody is proud of you and they care for you, and they will do anything to make the journey easier. The hardest part is to open your heart and admit openly that you need help. When I set up Stop and Help, we set it up very much to be that family and that help for people who didn't have somewhere to go. We welcome you, whatever your culture, your nationality, your race, your religion, you are welcome to ask for help. The thing I hate most is when people say, you haven't supported me because I'm such and such a religion or I'm such and such a nationality. I support everyone. I don't see colour. I don't see race. I don't see religion. I see people. So if you need help, Stop and Help is there for you. And bravery is opening your heart to let us help you. I hope you've enjoyed this talk and I hope you take something away from it. Thank you so much for listening to the end.